and welcome to a slightly different part of my house that you haven't seen too much of. And this is where I usually sit every evening and every morning. I don't have a couch, but let me tell you, I did something today that I'm going to be very excited about and slightly less money for. I finally, after more than a year and a half of living here without a couch, I have now officially ordered a couch. It will be here in about 2 months because delivery time takes apparently about 2 months from now. But, you know, I have this thing that I sit on. I have a couple of pillows behind my back and this is where I've been sitting. It's not the most comfortable thing, but I mean, I've gotten used to it, so that's cool, I guess. I am so excited about getting a couch though. I mean, how can I not be? Also, the amount I was spending on the couch, I'm just saying, furniture is expensive, and thank God it was on sale, because if it wasn't, I'm honestly not sure if I would have ordered it, because even though I think it's going to be amazing, it's a bit of a price, let's just say. I might show it off when I finally get it in about 2 months. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about what I've been knitting, not crocheting this time. So welcome to the Knitting Diaries. That's what I intended to talk about today. And time is flying. Okay, it always is. So in January, I made so many small things. In February, I did a lot of knitting. Like really a lot of knitting. It just doesn't show up the same way as it did in January, because in February, I only finished 2 items. In my defense, there were bigger ones, and one of them was something I'd never done before, so that was a surprisingly big challenge that I have to like continuously pay attention to. So let's start with the first things first. The first thing I did that I knitted in February was a sweater. I'm really excited about it, and the reason I knitted it, and yes, I'm not very good at sitting still unless I'm doing a puzzle. Let's be honest. I don't sit still then either. So let's see if I can figure this out. I knitted a sweater, and the reason was because I felt very privileged because someone asked me to knit a sweater, and I won't be getting any money for it. That's the sad part about it. But I got to knit a sweater that I've never knit before. Other people have obviously knitted it. And I was asked because, and the reason I'm like I feel honored that I was asked, because it's going to be one of the main prizes in a charity raffle before Christmas. So I had plenty of time to do it. There were no stress about it. But you know, when I get something like that, I want to make sure that I'm well within the time frame. And I'm so well within the time frame. But also, in case something was off in one way or another, I wanted to be able to have time to do whatever needed to be done. So I have the pattern here. It's only Norwegian. It's called Skuggenatten. Oh, sorry for the slight glare. And it is, the pattern is actually made by some local people here. And the yarn store and I don't remember, some of the people from like what's it called? County? Yeah, they collaborated and made the sweater based on, oh, I don't remember the story. The story is on the website for the yarn store, but it was something about some things that were found in farms around in this area. And also Skuggenatten, it's a mountaintop I think it's the tallest one in the county. Not sure. I think it is. It's one that people look to when they're here. It's a very popular trail to hike. And for Christmas time, it has a tiny little, or I don't know if it's tiny. It's probably a big one. But from when you're here and you look up in the mountain at Christmas time, they light up a Christmas tree. And you can see it from like all over in the area, obviously. And yeah, so I needed that. And I used a total of 33 days because I started January 7th, 27th, and I finished February 28th. So I just made it into like February. So I spent all of February on it. And here it is, and I get to show it off. And there were some challenges because the yarn asks for needle, what was it, 3.5? And this pattern has they use a different gauge in the pattern than what the yarn is. Oh, I should tell you about the yarn too. It's this one. It's from Sandnes Garn, Pergint, and it's very comfortable to knit with, and it's, I think, let's see, it's 100% Norwegian wool, so it's all good with that. And I was asked to knit one size, and I started using the needles 3.5 millimeter and 4 millimeter, and the fabric got really dense to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I like this. So I sized up a needle. So I had to redo some things because gauge swatching is not a thing for me. I've never done it. I still haven't done it. So yeah, I had to size up the needle because if not, the fabric was too dense. But I'm very pleased with the result. I have sewn in all the ends and I folded the collar down and I sewed that, and look! I'm not fully sure what you see, but here it is. The whole sweater. It looks a little small, and and my hair is everywhere. I'm gonna make sure before I give it to the people that are gonna take care of it from now on. I'm gonna make sure all my hair is off it. But I was asked to knit. It has 7 different sizes. It's basically, it doesn't have like small, medium at all. It goes from 1 to 7. I was asked to knit a 3. And it is closer to 2. In my defense, I did warn the lady that I was talking to that I do knit a little tight. And I almost got gauged with the needles that I picked, but it still turned out a little smaller. But it's all good. Looks good on. I can get it on. It's a little tight because I always wear a shirt under because it's wool. But it fits nicely. Although a little tight. But there you can see the pattern properly. And I really enjoyed knitting it when I, switched to better needles. So it's not as dense as it would have been. But yeah, I knit technically not the whole sweater in February. I started in January, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Oh, and the color, it's color 6581. That's how you do colors. No names. So yeah, I knitted a sweater. There were some challenges because, and also folding down the collar, like the neckline, folding down the neckline and sewing it, it's not my strong suit. I'm not very good at that, but I made it happen. It's all good. It's done. It can now be delivered to the people that are in charge of the raffle. And I think part of the reason it turned out a little smaller, even though I got pretty much the gauge the pattern calls for, it still turned out smaller than I had think. Because I was supposed to use 12 balls of yarn for this. They're 50-gram balls. I ended up using 10, which is really weird because usually when I knitted sweaters in the past, including the one I'm wearing, because I've knitted this one too, I've always needed more yarn. And in this case, I was left with 2 balls of yarn and a tiny little piece here too. And I was just like, I don't know what happened, but sweater is done. So I hope they're happy. I'm gonna give them, hopefully in the next few days, I might see one of them that is in charge of the raffle. So that's the first item I made in February that took all of February. So I'm very pleased with that. And then the next thing I did, no wait, I'm looking at the wrong piece. I always have a little notebook. I always write when I do my crafting, either knit or crochet. I always write in my notebook. It's like, what am I making? Which needle size? That one is very, very important. I've messed up that before. Needle size, which yarn, if it has a label, because I have a lot of leftover yarn. Not all has a label. And also, like small details when I'm knitting socks, I make sure to count out how many rounds are the foot and the leg and all those kind of things. How many stitches sometimes. And I also write down when I start and when I finish. So the next item, I technically also started in January. I started it January 30th and I finished it February 13th. And that has a bit of a story. It looked like a puff ball. A ball of like knitted stuff which had way too many stitches and it looked like a mess. And it had a pattern. It's a knitted round tablecloth. It's called art knitting. And I understood eventually when I started to like, I'm not exactly sure why I had it, where it came from, but it was in my stash and it had been started. So I'm like, oh, I could just figure out which row I'm on and then I'll continue. Something felt very off. It's way too many stitches for being like this far out. And it was supposed to be able to lay flat. Eventually I did end up like removing the needle and undoing everything and have to start again because something was very off. And you know when you have a hat and you have the kind of like little dusk, I don't know what the English word is, but the little puff balls that some hats have. Yeah, when I took the needles out, it looked like that. It was supposed to be able to lay flat. That ain't flat. That's just a whole lot of fabric. And I realized the mistake when I started to kind of like knit backwards to count to see if I could figure out which row it was on. I was thinking we were probably on row like 80 or 90 or something. We were about row 23. Also because this one, I've written explanations here because that was a story getting those. Because I didn't have the explanations. I just had like, hold on, let me show you. I only had like these and no explanations. So I was like, something is off here. Something is very off. And I was like, how do I figure it out? So I brought it to a knit group and then I asked and no one could answer. No one could help me with explanations. And this is a copied paper. There is nothing on the back. There's no way of knowing where it came from. And I was like, what do I do? Well, bring it to knit group. I brought it to one knit group. No one knew anything. And then a couple of days later, I was going to, that is not a knit group, but it's more like people are sewing, and since I don't sew much, I brought my knitting. Luckily, I also brought this. And then one of the people that had been to knit group a few days earlier, she was like asking me, it's like, wait, did you bring that? Maybe some of these ladies can help. So I pulled it out of my tote bag and like, didn't someone help? And most of them were, yeah, no, I don't know. No, sorry. And then one of the ladies like, I don't know this, but we should be able to figure it out. Give me some time. And she was on Facebook and asking people, and like she was working to figure out like what all these abbreviation means, because there was no explanation, and she found them. She got in contact with someone, I have no idea who, but she found someone that knew the abbreviations and told her. And then so I like wrote it down and then I started. And I've never knitted a tablecloth before, but now I have. And it like, because every second round you just knit, and then the other second round you have all these like, sometimes it's yarn over, sometimes it's a knit, sometimes it's knit two together, and sometimes it's like, and sometimes you have to like put them together. It's what felt like a mess, but I'm like, okay, make sure to like follow along all the time. And I will say that I'm very, and I haven't been able to like use starch. I just ironed it, but look, isn't it pretty? Yes, it would have been prettier if it had been starch, so it was like totally flat. But look, I did this. I knitted this on 2.5 millimeter needles, so it took a while, because this is, I mean, look, it's fairly wide across. It's like more than my shoulders. But yeah, so I am showing you the back side. Okay, hold on. Now I'm seeing the back side and you're seeing the front. So yeah, isn't it pretty? I'm so excited. Like, look at all these details. And it was surprisingly both easy and time consuming, because it wasn't that difficult. What took a while was like every second round you had this pattern with a lot of yarn overs, knit two together, and a few more things to like, and you had to, so I put markers, like, and the markers were for every one of these, kind of like two up, and then a marker on each side here, because you start with a total of 10 stitches in a round. And like, I mean, because you start in the middle here. Hold on. Can I show you properly? Do you see this little tiny ring here? It's less than my finger, smaller than my finger. That's the start. And then you go out, because you start, I don't know how to explain it or how to show you properly. But you start in the middle here, and then you kind of like knit around and around and around, and obviously becomes bigger. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with the result. It's really cute. I need to like starch it so it'll stay pretty better, but it's the first time I've ever knitted a tablecloth, and every second round was like, so I put markers. You see kind of like one here, and then I had one marker on each side. So I like, okay. So I followed like, I'm gonna follow this line until I hit the marker, and then I'm gonna repeat the line. And you'd think that it was simple, but like remembering where on the line I was and which, it was taking a lot of brain power. This is not something I will ever do when I'm around people. This was like sit at home and like really focus, and then have one round where I could just knit regularly and like let my brain relax, because that was, as I said, surprisingly easy, but surprisingly time consuming, and like it needed a lot of concentration. But still, I'm very, very pleased with the result. I wish I could have shown you like better, having it starched and all, but I don't really know even how to do that. So that's gonna be its own thing. So yeah, I didn't do the most items in February. January, I did like many. But, I mean, I did two really big things. I mean, come on. This I knit with 4mm needle and 4.5. This one is 2.5mm needle, so that's very, very thin. So yeah, I didn't knit the most items in February, but I definitely knit the biggest items I've done so far this year. And I'm very pleased with my results. So that was all for the Knitting Diaries of February. Everything I did in February. And, you know, we're already into March, so who knows what and how much I will do. I have done some things, but I have not finished much so far in March, so we'll see. Time will tell. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.